Welcome to my channel. My name's Marion McRae. I'm a physiotherapist, back pain specialist, and founder of the Bulletproof Backs method. If you're here, hopefully it's because you're ready to take charge of your back pain and discover some holistic tools that may set you free, including mindset, movement, emotional fitness, and lifestyle strategy. In this particular segment, I take questions from the public about their most pressing back pain questions, and I just simply attempt to answer them from the heart, backed by years of experience, but without overthinking. I find I offer my best advice when I simply drop into my heart and spew what needs to come out of there without overthinking. So before we dive in, I just do want to make a quick note that the information I share here reflects my own personal opinions only and my experience as a physio. It's meant for educational purposes only, and it isn't a substitute for advice from your own healthcare team. I encourage you to consult your doctor or therapist to tailor my ideas to your unique situation. With that said, let's get started on building your bulletproof back, and hopefully this question from my next listener will help. Let me find this one. Hi, my name is Margaret and I'm from Sydney. Finally an Aussie. That's great. My back pain started 2 years ago after I slipped while hiking. Ouch. The diagnosis was arthritis and some nerve impingement. I'm retired and love traveling, but this pain is holding me back. I've gained weight because I've stopped being active and I've noticed it's making me more anxious and withdrawn. Oh, Margaret. My daughter shared one of your YouTube videos with me. Oh, thank you, daughter. And I was so impressed with how you explained things in simple terms. I love your advice on how to get moving again without making things worse. Oh, wow, Margaret. That's a really good question. First up, I'm sorry you slipped. Like I think I've said in a previous one, it's really hard when you go from being fit and active and doing something you love to having an injury, like you fall or you stack, or, in one moment you're fit and healthy and engaged in life, and in the next you're injured. And with that comes a whole disablement of your identity, which can be really hard to process and deal with, and often involves grief, a lot of grief. Um, so I hope you've allowed yourself time and space to feel that grief, because it's real and it's part of the journey. The diagnosis was arthritis and some nerve impingement. So just some questions on that. You don't go from moving well and hiking to having arthritis. So the diagnosis of arthritis is interesting. I guarantee that arthritis was there before you slipped, and it possibly clearly wasn't causing you any issues. So to blame it on the arthritis after you slip, I think there's a big red alarm bell in my mind going off there. Arthritis, it's very easy. Again, do you say how old you are? I don't think you say how old you are. It's very easy when someone's over 60 with any sort of pain to get an x-ray, and for that x-ray to show degenerative changes in the bones. And then immediately the diagnosis becomes, oh, it's arthritis. So just be mindful that I don't think pain that is not there and then you slip and is there is arthritis. I think it's something else. The arthritis certainly is worth noting, but if it wasn't causing any pain beforehand, I don't see why now it's such a big deal. So I'm almost feel like putting a big pen through that and going, not relevant. Um, and some nerve impingement. So sounds like you've had a scan to determine the nerve impingement. And if that matches up with the pain you're experiencing, i.e., radiating pain in certain zones into your leg, then it's quite possible that in your fall you cause some damage to some tissues in that area, which is now set up a bit of an inflammatory zone where the nerve is getting impinged. So often when we have something like that, particularly in older age brackets, I'm a really big advocate for rest, which involves just taking if you slip 7, sometimes up to 21 days of really working with the pain as your guide as to what movements are safe and which movements are not safe. For instance, if you find that walking soothes your back, then walk. If you find that sitting after 10 minutes makes your back grumble, then get up and move. If you find that laying flat feels good, then do it for short periods of time. So basically, if you find twisting left it gives you a stabbing pain, don't do it. If anything, you might want to explore if twisting right feels better and gives you some relief. So the pain is always guiding you as to which directions are soothing and which are harming. And if in that initial period, we can work with the pain to guide us, and rest from provoking the injured tissue, then we're setting it up for the best environment to heal. And sometimes that's really hard to do if we take too many painkillers initially. So there's this dance between giving yourself enough pain relief that you can remain active, but not so much that you can't still feel the signals. So if you haven't taken that rest period, Margaret, and if you've just been pushing through, I would actually encourage you to scale it back for a few weeks and be really mindful. Start to listen to your body's pain signals and work with them and not force them to do things that they're not ready to do. It may be that it just needs some rest from the things that are annoying it, in which case then the body can get on with what it knows how to do, which is to heal. So just ask yourself, have I been pushing it? Is there something I can do is there something I do every day that tweaks it that I can stop doing or do in a different way? Because until you do, it doesn't get what it needs to get better. You are retired, so it sounds like maybe you've got time and space to be able to do that. And the pain is holding you back. I get it. It will be holding you back from certain movements, but not all movements. So you need to really try and find those movements that feel good on your back and do more of them. Might be that for a while, you get in the water and you do some deep water running, which is where you get your pool noodles under your arms and you just very lightly truck through the water, getting the legs moving, which gives you a bit of a cardiovascular hit and gives you that traction through your back. It flosses the nerves, keeps you a little bit strong. So something like that may be really appropriate at the moment. Maybe some really good quality Pilates would also be useful, customized Pilates, not just rolling around on the floor, joining in. Whenever you have an injury, I'm a big fan of customized prescriptions in anything because no back pain is the same. And what we need is very unique to who we are, how we think, what our body proportions are, which joints are working, which joints aren't. So it's customization is king when it comes to getting what you need from back pain rehab. You've noticed you're putting on weight. Yeah, that can be a frustration that drives people to keep going. It's hurting, but I don't want to put on the weight, so I'm going to keep pushing. And that's just not a fun cycle, and that doesn't work because we're making the pain worse, which makes us more anxious, and anxiety is cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone which feeds more inflammation, but also makes fat stick to our bodies. So learning to relax about the situation you're in right now sounds dumb, doesn't it? Saying just relax, Margaret. I know that's not what you want to hear right now. But somehow learning to calm your system and not fight it is going to be useful. So it may be that you start doing building your lean muscle mass. You may start doing some arm weights, which will build up some upper body strength. Maybe that you start doing some lunges, shallow squats that'll really build your leg strength, but protect your back at the same time. So you could go towards more of a weight, lean muscle mass building program that doesn't involve a lot of spinal motions. If there's certain directions it doesn't like, then keep your spine still relatively, but really focus on building that muscle mass in your upper body and your lower body, which will help with the weight gain and will help you feel like you're keeping strong, which will also hopefully help with a little bit of the anxiety. I would also maybe think about some breath work. The anxiety, whilst understandable, can be certainly feedback that the way you're viewing and perceiving your situation is not helping. And often I find when our mind runs away with all these thought processes, our body reacts with anxiety And the way to kind of disable that cycle is to either turn off the mind or have the mind focus on other things. So if there's things in your life that bring you joy, perhaps grandchildren, or perhaps for the time being, you go and have coffee with your hiking ladies and you chat about the hikes they're doing from a space of keeping yourself within the group, keeping yourself connected, and keeping yourself motivated to have your body return to what you want it to be. But please do not think because you have arthritis in your back that you will never join the hiking group again. I do think you need to pivot, not push, learn to slow down so that you can go faster. It's one of my favorite mantras, slow, slow, fast. A maximum rapid healing happens when we slow down. Slow down our thinking so that we can feel more, so that we can do targeted actions more. When we're racing around, trying to do everything and be everything to everyone, we end up on a bit of a treadmill, which never helps. I hope that helps. So seek a good physio or a good exercise physiologist, or just a good personal trainer who's going to understand that you want to keep strong, you want to build the lean muscle mass so you can get on top of the weight gain, and you want to know and spend some time with your spine, asking it what movements it currently enjoys. If it's walking, then start with your 5. Start with whatever period of time makes it feel good. And it might be 5 minutes, but you start with 5 minutes. And then next week it might be 10. If things like gardening are making it worse, then you're just gonna have to have the discipline to park the gardening for the next 6 to 8 weeks until things are better. There's got to be doing some things and stopping some things that you feel you can't. That's the stretching required to get you out of the cycle that you're in right now. I hope that helps. Certainly reach out to me if you need more. And thanks for taking the time to offer us up your question.